Good evening and welcome to the P.I Show. My name's Harry Nowicki and I'm with some colleagues, Tony Carbone, welcome, and Martin Smith, welcome. We're here tonight to discuss the topic of damages arising from injuries. It is a topic where people are interested in and damages are monetary compensation for injuries. I mean, people often ask, well, what is an injury worth? And at common law, ultimately a judge or a jury will tell someone what an injury is worth.
That's right, Harry. The accident victim, we use the word damages. Damages, as you say, means monetary reward or monetary compensation. The fact of the matter is you can't put the person back to their pre-accident
condition.
No, so the only way you can make up for that is to award some damages. There's some general headings. One is pain and suffering or general damages. Pain and suffering, loss of enjoyment of life, loss of amenities, loss of function. That's general damages. Then there's an area
that arises from the injury itself.
Correct. That's again pain for that person.
Are restricted by upper limits.
Yes.
Well, in Victoria, we'll come to that. There are upper limits. But
then you've got another heading called past economic loss from the time the accident or incident occurs until the time of a settlement. There are some past losses. There's some past medical expenses. There's some future losses and future medical expenses.
Martin, all the general damages covers pain and suffering, loss of enjoyment of life, and special damages generally picks up economic loss, which is loss of income, past, present, future.
And it's important they're, in effect, once and for all.
Yes.
So the court, judge or jury has to decide on a particular day what damages are worth once and for all. You can't come back. You can't come back in a year's time and say, look, the damages were too light.
Although in work covering TAC, generally medical expenses continue.
As we've discussed previously, I think that's an important point, Tony. As we've discussed previously, we make it again clear to all the viewers, there are hybrid schemes that operate in Victoria. And if we're concentrating on Victoria, we have the Transport Accident Commission and Work Cover, which both have payments for medical expenses covered, past and future, and they also have past loss of wages which are covered under their statutory scheme. So when you go to court in those cases, you're not asking for your medical expenses or future medical expenses because they should be covered under the scheme. However, in other cases, which Harry, you've talked about before, public liability, it's what's called unfettered common law once you get into the situation.
Into the damages side of the case.
Well, then it becomes once and for all.
Yes. Once and for all. And it brings matters to finality.
Yes.
And then the insurer can't go back and say in a year's time, well, look, we made a mistake. You know, we want to reopen the case.
That's right.
Well, everything is final.
It's important you also assess the plaintiff's future needs in terms of medical treatment.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's all based on what I think is the best evidence available.
Yes.
On the day of a trial.
Correct.
So you've got to bring the best medical evidence, occupational therapists, what people need in the future, and you've got to...
You're treating doctors.
But some courts have said it's a guesstimate, you've got to assess things, and you have a crystal ball, you try to have a crystal ball, and you try the best you can on the evidence before the court.
Well, Harry, it's not a precise science, so there's a lot of sort of
guesswork, and funnily enough, courts often round up figures or round down figures.
Yes.
So often damages are assessed not exactly down to a decimal point, if you like, but they're rounded.
But having said that, if we've got upper limits on what you can get, you're generally working backwards.
In Victoria, there are upper limits.
You're working backwards.
There are upper limits in all areas. Look, perhaps we might get into some cases where damages have been awarded to people. One is a work accident where the case of Norris versus Brumar, and Patricia Norris was working at a petrol station. She was, I think, finishing her shift, and a masked gunman came in and confronted her with a gun. Now, she was there sort of doing the daily takings, and she was there with someone else. She was terrified. She pressed, I think...
the security...
She activated some security and the door of the service station was locked.
Correct.
She then went back inside the service station, and she could hear the gunman shouting, you know, unlock the door, unlock the door. Then he started shooting at the lock, and eventually he got out. The gunman, unfortunately or fortunately, got, I think, $65 from the till.
This occurred at, from the time of 12:15 a.m. Remember, this is at a Shell service centre, which we all go to fill our cars with petrol. Middle of the night, and she was at the scene of the crime until 3 a.m. She gets home at 5 a.m, so she's been involved in this rather bizarre, traumatic robbery for many hours, and it wasn't just it all happened at 12:15 and stopped.
No.
She was at the scene till 3 a.m.
Well,
the police attended. When she locked the door, unfortunately, a customer was locked in the service station with the gunman.
It's surprising that no one got killed, because I mean this guy's shooting all over the place, and it was the customer that was.
And dare I say, he was a masked gunman. He wore a gorilla mask.
Yes. And so what they look is the aftermath and the effects on the robbery for the person. Here we have a lady who has been through what we described as a traumatic event. She is to be compensated for her pain and suffering, as we said, her loss of enjoyment of life, loss of mentis, loss of function. That's the general damages. She's also entitled to, as the evidence, as you say, Harry, the evidence was put before the court, to her past and future economic loss.
So, how did the court assess the damages? I think she was.
She got $200,000 for pain and suffering.
Well, we'll come to that. Perhaps
they call the medical evidence. First of all, they hear her story. That's called evidence. They then call upon the doctors. That's called the medical evidence, and they describe what the situation is. And then it comes to a calculation. I'm not, as you said, not precise to the dollar and cents, but it comes to a calculation as to her loss of earnings and loss of earning capacity.
And I think the barrister for her put, I think, $200,000.
I believe so.
No.
He put a higher figure than that.
He put quite a high. He put quite a high figure, and the judge assessed what's called general damages in round figures at $200,000.
That's right.
So that's what's called general damages. And we'll come back after the break with some more discussion about this case and other cases about damages.